Well, I want to see them kill each other. We saw a fantastic series in the Unicorns of Love versus the Mysterious Monkeys, and traditionally H2K have been more of the controlled, refined style. It does help when you have a coach like Prolly standing behind you with the ever so firm grasp of macro, and we'll have to see whether or not H2K choose to stick with that. For a lot of the plays from Odo, he's been primarily sticking to these tanky sort of top laners, things like the Gragas and the Galio, and with that being taken off the board, we get to see if he goes for something a little bit more extreme. He did bring out the Fiora in the past, where he got a number of fantastic solo kills on. And going up against Chachi, our spring split MVP, you can only expect a fantastic top lane setup.
And you got to feel for Odo. Consistently one of the top laners in Europe since his arrival in the LCS, but never quite able to walk away with the MVP. Never quite considered #1, at least not in the last few splits. Always playing second fiddle to Chachi in a lot of circumstances. Thresh banned away as well on the side of H2K. Not a whole lot of top lane priority given over, 2 top lane bans.
Now bear in mind, Zach is open, Xayah is open, Rakan is open. UOL is saying, whatever you pick, we're going to try and get 2 power picks in return, but it has to be the Zach for H2K. Surely it can't be anything else.
Odoamne plays with their hearts.
For those that don't know, this is the hub because Odo plays a lot of solo queue top lane Rammus. He's the self-proclaimed god of the Rammus. But highly unlikely that they first pick that.
Will in the end be the Zach, but that means Xayah and Diana, yeah! Probably not. Xayah and Rakan, all right, if there was ever a team to play this duo, it would probably be the Unicorns of Love, although we've seen it in the hands of many a team. Samux, Hylissang, is their bond strong enough?
Well, that'll be the ultimate question. Because yesterday, we did in fact see Rakan smash Xayah. She was absolutely destroyed after that game. It was very one-sided, but today they're finally on the same team. Really good at being able to set up these all-ins, but H2K, they're sticking to their style. They have the Shen, they have the Zach, they already have this solid all-in engagement, and with Syndra banned, they can lock themselves in an Orianna right now if they wanted to guarantee themselves a comfortable mid-lane matchup, or they go for something like a Varus, or forget that, just go for the Twitch.
Saw it yesterday. We've seen Twitch in the hands of so many talented AD carries, including Samux, Reckless, Sven. All of these guys able to make huge impact in team fights. It looks like Nuclear wants his shot. Now Unicorns of Love, they'll have to contemplate how they want to round out this first set of picks, and it's going to be the Gangplank on the top side of the map. It's been a long time since we've seen these two play this matchup, but there is some history here. We look back, last year's summer, cast your minds back, 3rd, 4th place match. Odoamne smashed Vizicsacsi in this matchup. Vizicsacsi tried to farm. Odoamne killed anyone and everyone he could get his hands on across the map. We'll see if it's a little bit different this time around.
Yep. Chachi is looking to get his revenge as we move into the second phase of the draft. Now, supports have not been locked in for H2K, so if you're Unicorns, you want to be taking those off the board. With Thresh already gone, Braum being next, Tahm Kench could be a big choice. Or alternatively, you could look to ban away something like an Alistair, right? Bear in mind that he is a big melee sort of engaged tool that pairs nicely into the Rakan to dissuade a lot of his hard engaged style. So a few options still available for the side of H2K as they're trying to take a few junglers off the board for the Unicorn.
And we have to assume that they have something ready for the Xayah Rakan. They saw what they were giving away. They have opted into this pick and ban phase. Maybe something up their sleeves to deal with it. But for now, Vedius, we look at these compositions. H2K feels straightforward. We have a Shen, we have a hyper-scaling AD carry. I know what H2K is looking to do right now, but talk to me about Unicorns of Love. What are they trying to do with this composition so far?
Well, right now, I was just about to mention that they lack the follow-up from the engage from Rakan, right? Because you have the Rakan initiate, you then have the Gangplank follow-up, and the Gragas is the great middleman between that two, because not only can he act as a great disengage, and some say as an answer to the Zach, he also is great at following up from the initiation. Imagine getting a 3-man knock-up on Rakan to then have all 3 members knocked into the warm embrace of Xayah. So nice combo that Unicorns have set up for what will be a very powerful teamfight composition.
Interesting, though. H2K, we talked a lot about Odoamne. We look at this matchup. We talk a lot about Febiven. We talk about Jankos. But when we look across the board, we look at the team composition that has been assembled. This game, as we mentioned earlier, all about Nuclear. They're even picking up the Lulu now. We'll see what their last pick is going to be. Looks like it could be the Lucian. Of course, Febiven, really the only successful mid-lane Lucian in Europe. You can credit Perks with a win as well, but his laning phase was disastrous. So it looks like he wants to try his hands on that once again on the side for H2K.
And a common answer we have seen to the Lucian has been Cassio, but you can play Assassins into that matchup too. Or you could just play the safe control mage Viktor. That's always an option. I think it fits nicely in with the build, or with the composition rather, that Unicorns have decided to build for themselves, which is very much about team fighting. They can play a sort of 1-4 style, have the Gangplank ultimate to answer any other side lane threat. And in the early game, sure, Exileh may very well struggle against Febiven, but their big teamfight damage going up against H2K's big teamfight damage is going to be really exciting, because I think these two do want to fight. I think they just want to get into the thick of things, and H2K is saying, you know what, Unicorns, for too long you have been known as the teamfight kings of Europe. Let's today demonstrate that we can be better than that.
And it's good that you bring it up, Betty, because that has been a weakness for H2K, yet this is the composition that they are opting in for. They are ready to take those team fights. They are ready to take that risk to go up against one of the strongest teamfighting teams in Europe. And it's just going to be fire with fire here in our first game.
It's going to be very, very, very fun. We have two scaling junglers, so perhaps may not be the earliest activity during the early game, but that mid-game spike, ooh, it's going to be so big.
Well, we want you guys to get involved. Head over to Twitter, @LOL Esports is the place. Hashtag H2K win or hashtag UOL win. If you are an H2K fan, you're going to be hard-pressed. You're going up against the Love Hurts crew, and they are pretty vocal about their support for the Unicorns of Love. So definitely let it be known if you're back in H2K. They need that fan vote. But either way, two incredibly powerful compositions. Will Febiven continue to be the master of the Lucian mid? We will find out here in game one. Unicorns Love chance coming in strong. They're starting up on the red side. It's H2K on the blue.
And this is the battle for first. Both these teams currently undefeated in the regular season. 4-0 record is what they both hold. Someone's got to lose today.
Objectively true.
Objectively true.
See what H2K want to do here. We've seen a lot of aggressive level ones across many different series over the course of the week, but it looks like it may just be a defensive start here from H2K.
Shields. Shields for everyone. Looks like H2K picking up a pretty common and considerably powerful early game item. Often very effective during the early laning phase. And I think it makes a lot of sense for the side of H2K. And this just echoes back to what we talked about in terms of the slow early laning phase. Because the thing about Lucian is he is kind of that early game snowballing powerhouse that really likes to dominate the laning phase. But against Viktor, it can be a little bit obnoxious because he has a fair amount of wave clear on his E, and he actually trades surprisingly well if he takes a point or two in his Q. So I think that for Exileh, he should be able to hold his own. The fact that Febiven has decided to go for this defensive start just means that he's trying to mitigate some of the poke that Exileh may very well choose to throw at him during the laning phase.
It's just so frustrating often in that mid lane matchup. The Siphon Power, the Q you were mentioning, giving you so much, both the shield, the empowered auto attack, the damage on the ability itself, but have to wait for a little bit. It may not be the level 6 where we see aggression in the mid lane, but at least the level 2 or the level 3 waiting for some abilities in the kit. But they're moving forward. Oh, so much damage. The Deadly Plumage is now coming out. Chei is in trouble. Flash already burned. That's the classic for the Xayah Rakan duo.
And it's so much damage, starting with the W on Xayah at level 1, because Rakan, he also gets the added bonuses of that W, which means you get all this bonus damage in. It makes your early trading super powerful, and they're going for it again.
Grand Entrance just keeps coming out, and as you mentioned, the Deadly Plumage making these trades in the end, surprisingly even, but they are trying to get health pots out of the side of H2K. They have been trading summoner spells. The Flash, the Exhaust down for Chei. Traded only for the Ignite on the side of UOL. Have to respect the potential here. Twitch definitely needing a few more items before he can scale up. Oh, move forward. Move out.
So much mobility, especially when paired up with Xayah, simply because of the added range that you get on the E as well. But this is fine for the Unicorns of the bottom lane, because what you're seeing is that, sure, they're trading health back and forth, but you also get a bit of sustain back from the Q of Rakan, which means that every time you go for this trade, even if it's an even trade, UOL will be able to get a bit of their health back and come back out on top later on.
Well, for now, Vizicsacsi's getting destroyed. Oh, God, that was not a good trade. Gangplank versus Shen. In theory, Shen does nothing and lets Gangplank farm. That's what we've heard. But in the early game, that might not be the case.
Well, it looked like Odo was able to get that early push. He was able to get the level 3, and Chachi had not been able to get himself that citrus that he needed to dodge out on the taunt. So just utilizing that level advantage and the empowered basic attacks that Odo gets just made it extremely difficult for Xayah to be able to trade back.
And there's a ward placed here, but Jankos with some clever pathing, which is going to set his sights on the camp for now, stretching strikes to clear it out, and Xayah going to be quite safe under the tower. May have some decent damage to those extended trades, but just does not have the burst to tower dive. Although may be able to with the help of Zach. And you look at these top laners, both crucial to their team's success and both prone to winning the lane here. Vizicsacsi looking for a little bit of a play here, stretching strikes, not going to come out, or it is, but going to miss. Flash now burned. Jankos already with the first successful gank. We have to wonder where Samux is, or where Xerxe is rather, and he's pushing it on the bottom side of the map.
And it's a little upsetting that we don't get to continue seeing this 1v1. Odo's saying, you know what, let's try and shut Xayah down. I've had enough of him winning all these matchups, right? Because this year, Unicorns of Love have constantly bested them, and they're going to try and start a snowball down bottom.
Or they're going to walk away.
Or they're going to walk away.
But setting up for the pressure on the bottom side of the map. H2K trying to capitalize on a matchup that they are already winning. The Shen just crushing the Gangplank in those early trades, and now Unicorns of Love, same strategy, but on the different side of the map. Using that Gragas, trying to capitalize on a winning matchup. But Jankos spotted out. Means that UOL going to be pretty comfortable to push forward.
But yeah, let's backtrack to this top lane matchup, because these are considered two of the best top laners in Europe for a long time. And when we looked back during the spring split, we were like, statistically, Xayah is actually rank 1 and Odo is rank 2. And Odo was very vocal about saying, like, you know, stats aren't everything, guys. Just because you're statistically #1 does not actually make you #1. And then at the top of the day, we heard how H2K as a team, they were disappointed. They got 3-0'd by Fnatic, and it was UOL who was in the final. And for H2K, and especially Odoamne, he has been trying to prove to Europe that he is among, if not the best top laner in Europe, even though statistically, during spring, he finished 4th out of all top laners. So he's definitely got something to prove in this matchup.
Definitely a strong way to start. Take down the former king, the MVP of last split, if he can find the opportunity. But may not be about the top side of the map, may not be about those solo kills. We have a Shen, and that means the bottom side of H2K is now set up for success. Could just be about snowballing the Twitch ahead here as we look to approach level 6. Level 5 coming in for Odoamne, coming in for Xayah as well. 6 is going to be coming in the mid lane, and this is usually the big breaking point in these games, when we start to see action coming in from the junglers.
And now just bear in mind that you can see a very early sheen coming out from Xayah, right? The reason for that is it gives you just a slightly earlier power spike to help trade against the Shen early on in lane, so you can have a little bit more of an impact. And the problem with this is you lose out on sustain because you decided not to go for the corrupting potion, but it allows you to get that Trinity Force sooner, which is really where Gangplank can shine.
Febiven getting the early level 6 means he's going to have the aggression in the mid lane. Doesn't need the early power spikes here, just going to pick up the Vamp Scepter for himself. And Exileh given a lot of respect over, opting for the early Seeker's Arm Guard. So definitely interesting itemization across the board for UOL.
Yeah, the fact, because typically you want to get that early Hex Core as soon as possible, because your real wave clear comes from once you've upgraded that Death Ray. Because then really all you have to do is wave clear and then leave. And it's super easy for a Viktor's, like his trading pattern is super easy. But instead, as you rightly said, Exileh just showing a lot of respect and saying, you know what? You're actually trading really well during the laning phase. You're really trying to get in my face. I'm going to mitigate as much of your snowballing potential as possible and just get myself some early armor to, you know, to limit that early power.
We have to be honest, Viktor, a more reliable team fighter as we move later in the game. So much AoE damage in the kit. So maybe a little bit of a pressure on Febiven to find some leads here in the early game. No support from the junglers quite yet, though. Once again, attention has been on the top side of the map. But a pretty calm early game. Not the teamfight stage yet, but they may look to change that. Hylissang goes in and out. Battle Dance, the double stacks, making it easy. But Nuclear definitely getting the beneficial end of this trade. Ooh, so much damage on the expunge there. Unicorns of Love just bite off a bit more than they can chew.
And notice every time UOL go in, their focus is on the Lulu. She had some nerfs a while back, which means that she's just so much squishier in lane. It is super easy to just pop her. But if you fail to get that kill, that means that you no longer have any disengage tools, and Nuclear can just freely hit onto your face, which means that you end up losing in the trade overall. And even though you've got yourself an early BF sword, Nuclear's got himself that Vamp Scepter, so he can just keep the sustain going. And now UOL, after getting forced back, they're very mindful of this roam for H2K.
So moving forward. Shen gonna be, ooh, goes in, but surprised there's a Zac. Moving forward, dealing out decent damage to the Viktor. They're looking for a little bit more. They try to pull him back together. Xerxe's gonna have to run, and that's first blood coming in for H2K.
And it was just Unicorns of Love trying to respond to Jankos moving down to the bottom lane. They saw the dive happening, and Xerxe and Exileh wanted to be there to help. But this is the power of Zac coming in from effectively nowhere, because UOL, they didn't have vision. He has 3 points in his elastic slingshot. He has a huge amount of range, and he just pops out with the Shen ultimate on top of Febiven 2. That 3-man unit, there's no way you're going to get away from that as a Viktor. And just look, there is no vision here for the Unicorns of Love. They cannot see this. Really good flash from Exileh, but once your flash is gone, there's nothing you can do when a Shen is hand-delivered to your face, making it for a very easy kill.
And we look at it as exactly a start that H2K wanted to get, using the power of that Shen. We've heard Deficio say the first 2 Shen ults. You get those first 2.
Yep.
You win. That's it. That's the power of the pick. You set it up, and it's all too easy moving out from there. And I like this as well coming in the top lane for Odoamne. We see him working towards that Tiamat, but double longswords. He is happy to just keep trading with Vizicsacsi when he gets the opportunity.
And notice as well, the Gangplank ultimate was used in the lane so that Chachi could go back, which means that he couldn't assist his teammates out during this bottom fight, along with the fact that Odo was able to use his ulti down and get back into lane without actually losing anything. He's still slightly ahead in terms of the farm. And this is a great situation for H2K to be in, because he's been able to get himself the early Ninja Tabi. This is going to make his laning phase a little bit easier, and Febiven is going to start snowballing slightly ahead of this Viktor so that he can exert more pressure later on.
Well, the fights are continuing to go forward. Chachi trading back and forth. Trial by fire, giving a little bit of extra damage, but now we have to focus on the mid lane. Battle Dance goes in. He goes in, cancels the animation. That's a clean dive moving forward, but they don't have the damage. Chei, the clutch roam coming in to save the day.
Beautiful read from Chei, recognizing that Hylissang could come for a roam, and if it wasn't for Chei's ulti, that was guaranteed to be a dead Febiven. Good response from H2K to keep their mid laner alive and make sure that that early snowball doesn't go to waste.
TP goes back onto the top side, but Vizicsacsi may just be walking into the waiting arms of H2K. Jankos charges up the elastic slingshot, leap forward. Vizicsacsi gonna try to cleanse this one out, but the stretching strikes pull him back in. That's the chain CC. Let's bounce back into that creep wave, baby. Vizicsacsi taken down yet again. Or for the first time, rather, there. Just clean plays coming in from H2K.
And this is why you banned Zac. He is just so good at finding ganks in the early game and setting his laners up for success. Like, that is 2 tanks killing the Gangplank. He is not that tanky top laner. He is super squishy, and it makes it so easy, but UOL, they want to try and respond on the bottom.
Have to be careful. Feathers coming out, just doing a bit of damage onto the tower. Vedius, what do you do when you eat the oranges and it's not K?
You get very sad. Really sad.
Okay, fair. Well, luckily there's some trading, so I don't have to stop talking during that moment, but Unicorns will love continue to trade back and forth in the middle lane. I was looking for, like, it only happens with Zac, maybe a little something like that.
Look, I'm not a massive orange eater. I'm more of an apple kind of guy, and they're always good.
Okay, I guess this is a fruit cast now. I guess we're talking about fruit preferences. Well, Febiven, lead forward. We'll find out what Janko wants to do here. Just going to make some guys kiss. And he's going to take him down in the end. H2K are actually just cleaning house with the Unicorns of Love, but Hylissang wants to keep the ball rolling. Samux leaping forward. Where is the Feather Storm? Not going to be needed. Samux, though, has to be careful. TP does get canceled in the end. Unicorns of Love are firing back.
And it ends up in a 1-for-1 trade. Unicorns of Love, they end up losing their mid laner, but they do get some kind of return kill down the bottom side. But in terms of pressure, H2K utilizing this Shen ult beautifully. I love the fact that whenever it is up, H2K are going, let's make a play, let's make a play, let's do something on the map. And they're punishing the lack of flash on Exileh. He's playing Viktor. It is super easy to just continuously gank these mid lane mages that have no natural escapes. And now we see Febi returning the favor in top lane.
Oh, Vizicsacsi cancels the auto 2 times in a row, and unfortunately I think that means he's going to lose the duel. Odoamne. This is supposed to be GP free farming into oblivion, Vedius. Odoamne is not having it. He has the kill pressure in this laning phase, and he is just crushing Vizicsacsi on an individual level. But now it's going to come down to Xerxe. Can he stop this Rift Herald? Looks like the answer is yes for now. Exileh was moving up to support.
And look at this respect from H2K as well. They're not gambling. They're not taking any risks. They're not trying to go for anything dangerous, and they're just playing the map and utilizing their advantages where they can. We have to give a shout out to Odo because he got 4 solo kills in week 1. Now, a lot of that was on a Fiora into an Akali, but now he's doing it...
Fiora into an Akali.
Yes.
Let's be clear.
Well, he wasn't fair when he got the first solo kill, to be fair, in his credit.
True.
And now he's been able to do it onto Xerxe with a Shen into Gangplank. He gets himself the early Tiamat. It does give you a lot of trading power, but it also mitigates a lot of the damage that Gangplank has because of the Ninja Tabi that you have.
And additionally, the chain vest. The pieces of the Jarm's Fist working towards that Titanic Hydra. It's not even 15 minutes in the game, and he's already got so many pieces for the build. Still, Vizicsacsi continues to approach, continues to play aggressive, Howard, but there he goes! So much damage going down, Lulu's trying to mitigate it, it's not enough! Rakan and Xayah, so impossible to deal with, simply not enough shielding.
And the rat is exterminated. Samux and Hylissang finally set up the play. They don't focus Chei down. Instead, they focus the AD carry, but Jankos wants to answer.
For a little bit more, Stretching Strike's going to connect. Where is he going to look to launch it back? 2 targets together, but a lot of damage coming in. Odoamne now continues his pressure on the top side. That is a 2-level advantage. Vizicsacsi going to eat some oranges, going to walk back. Odoamne just takes a crushing trade.
So annoying.
Oh, Hylissang?
Just trying to wave clear, I feel, for Jankos. Just trying to hold on to this tower for as long as they can. But H2K off to a phenomenal early game as, Exileh.
Febiven steps forward, double tap connects, but Xerxe's there to back him up. No all-in coming in from the Lucian. But a very significant CS difference coming in the mid lane as well.
Does help that when you camp the enemy mid laner, kill him twice. But it's really good position for Febiven to be in as well. The fact that he's already got himself the Blade of the Ruin King, really big guidance spike for that early game Lucian to hit, and it's giving him so much trading power because notice, every time he trades, sure, that's a decent trade back for Exileh, but then Febiven lifesteals it back up, and Exileh can't do the same thing. He doesn't build lifesteal, so constantly pressure always going in favor of Febiven to allow H2K to move around the map.
And Venice, there's no vision here. H2K are moving up into the mid lane. They're looking to start a fight. Jankos goes forward, tries to get him in. Let's bounce. Who's he going to take back? Nobody. Rakan gets out the battle dance enough, but H2K going to grab tower first blood and a 2K gold lead only 15 minutes into the game.
And Jankos took 0 damage in that tower dive. This Zac, he just does not feel pain. They dive underneath the tower. H2K have the full support of the majority of their team with a Shen just ready and waiting to join the fray should he be needed. And it results in a very easy mid-tier 1 tower going down in favor of H2K. These guys, they are playing the map beautifully right now.
And we look at the champions like Vedius. This is the trade here was Zac for Xayah and Rakan. And the Xayah and Rakan are doing well, but the Zac is doing so much more. And we have to wonder, was it the right decision from the Unicorns of Love to give that pick up?
Well, that's always the big question mark, right? Like when you're trading power picks, who truly is the more powerful? And as of right now, Jankos has been able to have a bigger impact for H2K's success, but that doesn't guarantee them a win just yet. They just have the lead, and many a time we have seen come these mid to late game fights, that is where the Unicorns of Love really come into their own.
And as long as we're talking about champions, like we talked about it too, team fights are going to be the name of the game here. We're still seeing skirmishes, we're still seeing picks, ganks. It's still very much the early game and the early laning phase. H2K have not proven themselves yet in that team fighting capacity, and still have to be careful going toe-to-toe with Unicorns of Love.
Oh, they certainly do. These guys, they've been in deficits before, and they've been able to come back simply through the fantastic ability to play the 5v5. They have a great composition to do it, but it depends on whether or not they can even get out of this early laning phase as Jankos just continues the prowl, and he may have found Exileh.
Exileh steps forward, gonna flash out, try to get to safety. There's nothing to connect the stretching strikes to. Good damage down onto Febiven. Coling not quite gonna finish it out. One more tick of the ground. He's trying to leap forward. Febiven takes the tower aggro, but it's not enough to take him down. But here comes the Shen on the bottom side. Rakan leaping in, trying to save Xayah. That's a romantic duo. Not gonna work in the end, but he goes too deep. Locked up under the tower. Gangplank ulti coming down. Gangplank on the way.
Gangplank.
3v3. Chachi's here for a bit of revenge. Can he get it? That's a grand entrance. Leaping forward, knocking down. You can hear it. Unicorns fans in an uproar at that play. A nice turn back in the favor of Unicorns of Love.
And there are 2 key things about that fight. The first was that Samux played that beautifully, and the second is that Exileh was way too greedy. Just leave the lane at this point. He comes back because he wants to try and get that farm, and you just ask Febiven to come hit you in the face. But now, moving aside from that, watch Exileh and the way in which he plays this fight. He is expecting the flash taunt, flashes away, and gets the root onto Odo as well. Just fantastic execution coming out from Samux, and they've bought enough time for Chachi to TP in and get themselves a return kill. And this is just classic Unicorns of Love. Yes, they end up losing a member, but that does not dissuade them. They always come back fighting, looking to get themselves back into the game.
And Samux, our birthday boy, not at all scared of that surprise party on the bottom side of the map. Clean plays get out in the end. And we have to say Hylissang as well. Beautiful disengage. Good coordination coming in those skirmish instances for Unicorns of Love. But those small instances of over-aggression coming into the mid lane. Exileh stepping too far forward. That they have to be careful of as they move in, because Febiven is continuing to get stronger, even if the Unicorns of Love bottom lane is dominating. And now the top lane also has to be careful, because Shen, he might kill you slowly, but Lucian not going to give you the same courtesy.
And notice now that H2K, they've swapped up the lanes. They put the Twitch and the Lulu in mid, where they can just keep catching this wave and keep the farm going. They have to be mindful of a possible dive from the Unicorns of Love.
Moving in for more. Featherstorm not available yet, but that's a good start to the fight. They're going to burn through the Twitch instantly. Unicorns of Love, no hesitation on that engage. And Rakan, this is the power we saw. We saw it in the hands of Wadid. It's just so efficient.
And I just think it is the perfect champion for Hylissang. It is a playmaker with an immense amount of mobility. And when I think back to Hylissang and some of his best plays, I'm thinking like to some of his Thresh plays, and in particular his Tom Kench and the way in which he was using it to flank. You don't need to flank when you can literally just run headfirst into the enemy and know that the Unicorns will always follow you up.
And just so good. Every time he has the flash up, every time the grand entrance and the quickness are available, he is going to find that engage. And you have to give him the respect, because what was once a 2K gold lead in favor of H2K is now just about dead even, as the Cloud Drake goes over to the favor of Unicorns of Love, and his Samux looks to get yet another tower.
This game has already started to deliver. Such an even game right now. H2K, they had that early start, but as we've been discussing, this game will come down to the big team fights. Both are poised to do it. It's Exileh.
We're not there yet, Vedius.
We're
right
not
now,
there yet.
It's all about making those picks. And the tower drops on the top side. Febiven doing what he can, but Chachi's hungry for a little bit of blood. Does have the Trinity Force, trial by far getting procced. Where's the barrel to come out? May want to proc it for the speed boost. Goes forward. Jankos is there to back him up. Chachi trying to leap for more. Let's bounce, gets procced. Jankos saves the day in the end. And this is just a bloodbath, Vedius.
The surprise play from Jankos. Catching Chachi off guard. He felt confident. He thought, you know what, I can get this kill. I can shut down Febiven. I can stop the snowball from happening. And then from out of nowhere, this giant green blob just hits you in the face. But this is where things really started for H2K. They utilized the submarine, a green one of death in this instance for H2K. And then on the top side, you're thinking, okay, this is really bad for Febiven. He can't hold himself in the 1v1. But again, UOL, they don't have the vision of this. The sweeper comes out to guarantee it for Jankos too. Just a good setup in terms of his utilization of the ulti to make sure that Febi can get himself that kill.
And this is interesting too, because Exileh and Vizicsacsi usually two huge strong points for the team. Definitely eager to outclass in the 1v1, thinking that they've found opportunities, but not being able to find them in the end. And now, putting their team at a bit of a deficit with the over-aggressive plays. H2K once again in control, once again with the 2K gold lead, and how quickly things change in just a span of 2 minutes.
Yep. And UOL, they need to try and respond by getting this tower. Now all Ana towers will be gone for both sides. Gold will still be relatively even, but look down in the bottom lane. You can see Febiven, he's hanging around. They're going for a dive onto Chachi.
Leap forward, red buff proc, Blade of the Rune King as well. It's going to be easy for him to chase down that Gangplank walking forward. There's the culling. Vizicsacsi not going to make it out. Definitely cold in the end. And H2K, they've got their sights set on that tier 2. Unicorns of Love looking to make a response in the mid lane, but there is nothing for them there to take.
H2K solo laners just strutting their stuff right now, moving as a two-man unit to just keep the pressure going, get themselves another tower, and UOL, they don't have an answer right now as H2K continue their control over the map and extend their gold lead.
And Febiven's just going to keep pushing bottom there for a second, pushes the wave up into the tower. Unicorns of Love now trying to get some control around the Baron pit, but they're not strong enough to take it right now, so they have to back off. And the gold lead continues to grow, getting closer and closer to the 3K point, and H2K definitely winning out so far.
And this is just really good setup from H2K. They know how strong Febiven is. They know he can win the 1v1. Chachi doesn't have the flash. There's not much you can really do as a Gangplank. You tried your best, but even with the ulti, there was a Shen ulti on top of that too, so the likelihood of you actually killing Febiven was just far too low.
And at this point, Betty, it feels like Unicorns of Love may just need to wait. Get a few more items under their belt before they start trying to take these opportunities for fights. Not in an advantageous position, and the snowballing Lucian is terrifying as ever, and you can't forget that even if you can start to match the Lucian, there's a Twitch.
Yep.
Not doing great, losing in CS, but
He
2
still
items
hurts.
now.
Yeah.
Will get an Infinity Edge eventually, will get a Last Whisper eventually, and he will start to destroy you.
And you know what, like, even if he's behind, he's level 11. He has 2 points in his ulti, and when you have a Lulu and a Shen backing you up, that spray and play will still hurt. Like, the sustained damage that he throws out is more than enough that you have to respect it, especially when there's so many squishy targets on the side of the Unicorns of Love. So this is why I'm excited for these mid-game team fights, and I'm really ready for the full 5-on-5 brawl, and it'll be around Baron that we'll most likely see it. This will be the big objective that H2K now have to play around. And in the past, they have been good at setting up around it, but how well can they actually get it if a fight ensues?
Now they're trying to take vision control, they're trying to clear out anything the enemy team can provide. Samux takes away the big Raptor, and Unicorns of Love just having to concede the vision control there in the end. Do not want to risk going to that jungle. There is a Fed Zac, and they just do not have the damage to kill him right now. But if you're looking at Unicorns of Love, you have to keep your eyes on Hylissang. He will dictate the pace of this game. Grand entrance over the wall, just looking to clear out some vision. The rest of the team there to back him up as well. But it feels like both guns are loaded. Both teams have everything they need to start a fight here, Vedius. We're just waiting to see where they're going to pull the trigger.
And notice just a little thing where UOL, they actually pushed mid, and that's what gave them the freedom to get vision. Is taunt.
Taunt's taunted up, not a whole lot of tools of protection. Quickness is going to be used. Chei is charmed and knocked up immediately. They turn, they break the flank, and now the fight is wide open. Gangplank there to protect it, but Exileh now in trouble. Pulling back, H2K still in control, but a lot of damage down onto the Shen. Jankos is getting burned down quickly. There comes Chachi. Cell Division has been activated. TP to keep him safe, TP to get him back up. Featherstorm comes out as well, flash over the wall from Febiven. He wants to keep the fight going. Samux going forward. He's trying to get something, but the Lucian not going to get the right angle on the blast cone. Has to walk away, but such a close exchange.
And that's the power of Twitch when you group up in these narrow corridors. He was doing so much free damage onto so many members. The thing is with Unicorns of Love, it's not over yet.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. It's just Chachi sharing
but I understand.
a quiet keg with his top lane counterpart, but you are correct. That was an exciting fight. H2K were the ones to come out on top, and just bear in mind, it is Hylissang that gets caught out here. It was H2K that had priority in mid. They get a successful flank down onto the Unicorns of Love, but the engage gets used onto the support, and you think, oh, he's obliterated, he's gone, but look at Nuclear on the backside, just dealing all this free damage so easily in a line, allows him to get these easy kills, and even though Jankos gets popped into his passive, you have the TP from Odo. Chachi can't really get involved in the fray because his main damage dealer is zoned out by Febiven, and you think that he can win this fight, but then Samux is forced to flash away, and a really good team fight going in favor of H2K, but it's just demonstrating the difference. Like, Hylissang has to be the one to set up the fight. Unicorns need to be the team to get the fight on their terms, otherwise Nuclear is just going to shred them apart.
And we heard it from Sven on the desk. Oftentimes, Samux is the man to go unnoticed in those fights. And I don't know if he went unnoticed, but either way, he's dishing out a ton of damage there in those exchanges. The feathers making it so easy for him to hit multiple members of the H2K lineup. But here it is, Vedius, the arena you asked for, the Crucible. Baron Pit up. The main objective going to be focused by both sides.
And look at this, classic Unicorns of Love, just grouping up as a 5-man mid. Odo looking for a flank. Let's see if UOL can force the fight.
So Chachi running forward, getting a lot of damage down on the Chei. Gangplank alt use, flash burned out. Chaos Storm going forward. Febiven getting good damage back with the culling. But just an exchange of cooldowns, not the hard engage from either side.
But bear in mind, top is pushing in favor of the Unicorns of Love. The bot is in fact slowly pushing in the favor of H2K, so this will give the freedom for H2K to reclaim vision control around the Baron area because someone from UOL has to go and answer it. Chachi's TP is down, he's 2 levels underneath his top lane counterpart, and his ultimate is unavailable as well. So H2K, they have full control right now.
Wait forward, Febiven to start the fight off, but the Twitch is doing so much damage from the backside, you can't forget about him. Samux not ignored this time, he gets deleted instantly. The quickness comes out, but he might not be quick enough. H2K just crushed through 2 members. The damage threats on Unicorns of Love are deleted, and they may set their sights on that Baron Pit.
The Unicorns of Love, they stuck around mid for too long. They were too afraid to concede all that vision around the Baron. And that just bought enough time for some cooldowns to come back up for H2K and for them to just reignite the fight. No ulti on Exileh, no ulti on Chei. They felt confident. Can Xerxe get the steal?
Samux, Xerxe rather, leaps out, maybe not going to make it out. Coling not quite going to finish him off. Febiven going to chase down that kill, make sure that they can finish this, but there's not enough members in the pit. Hylissang may look to go over. Chei can do decent damage with the barrels. Is it going to be enough to beat out a smite? We will find out now. Waiting, giving themselves an opportunity. They're going to delete that barrel. They're waiting for one more. Shot goes in, not going to get it. Jankos gets the secure in the end. Xerxe now waiting off in the middle of nowhere.
He's rolling, he's got, wait,
Chei. Chei.
Oh my god! Oh my god! The ninja!
Oh. I've never seen a man that large be that stealthy, Vedius.
Unreal. Well played, Xerxe. But they still lose a Baron.
Yeah, they still lose a Baron, guys. We're all excited about the escape.
Reality check for a second. H2K, this was a great fight for them. Nuclear comes in from stealth, Odo comes in from one flank, you have Jankos coming in from the other, and it's so easy to get that collapse down onto Samux. He gets obliterated before UOL even have a chance to respond.
And just, as you said, such good setup. Nuclear completely uncontested. Febiven didn't even do damage for the first 5 seconds of that fight. It is just the Twitch dishing all that out, but no one can approach him. No one has a way to engage. When, as you said, when Hylissang doesn't get to start a fight, Unicorns of Love aren't going to win one. But now, Vedius, it's the survival game. It's the stall out. It's the make it through the Baron. The Unicorns of Love, one of the few teams we've seen take fights against an opposing team with Baron buffs. Take those big risks. Very often they pay off.
But H2K are not really the team that you can feel that confident taking that kind of a gamble against. And you're right, UOL, they do not back down from a fight. But that could be their undoing as H2K, they're now set up for the 1-3-1. Febiven, level 17 to the 14 of Exileh. 1, 6, and 0. If he is on your fantasy team, unlucky. Because he is not getting you any points this week as Odo now getting collapsed on.
Those 2 barrels, but it's going to get knocked up. The chain CC comes in, the quickness as well as the grand entrance. Hylissang now just using the movement speed to move forward, but that's almost no damage onto the Shen. That is bad news for the side of Unicorns of Love.
Pressure continues for H2K. This has been a very exciting game so far. We've seen team fights, we've seen good macro play, so many things that we would expect from our 2 top teams in Group B. And now they go for another fight.
Stretching strikes connected. Who's he going to grab? Smack together. Now the re-engage comes in. Grand entrance is immediately canceled out. Jankos in no man's land trying to pull him out. Let's bounce, making him immune to CC so he can get out to safety. Nuclear dishing out damage in the back line. Febiven in trouble. Featherstorm not going to connect. Flashing out. Samux trying to keep this going. They're trying to turn this fight back. Vizicsacsi is doing decent damage to the back line. Unicorns of Love keep 5 members up. Coling just going to graze Exileh. Not going to find any purchase there. Just to trade a cooldowns, Vedius not going to find any blood there.
But that was a good fight for the Unicorns of Love. They hold onto their mid lane inhibitor, but you're against 2 AD carries and 2 tanks. The regeneration will keep H2K healthy enough to get themselves the tier 2 in the top lane. And UOL, they're just forced to back off. But you are seeing the strength of Unicorns of Love. They're reaching that late game point. Void Staff finished for Exileh. Infinity Edge done for Samux. UOL, they are getting to a point where this late game team fighting will really be a big threat that H2K may very well struggle to deal with.
And we can't forget Xayah. She may not have the range of Twitch, but she definitely has that damage if she gets the opportunity to just continue to auto-attack and fight. So you still have to respect Samux here for the side of H2K.
I feel like you just have to respect Samux. Like, this guy has been playing phenomenally this split. Like, he has the highest damage percentage of all AD carries during the regular season so far of this split. And he has just been one of the, as Sven said, one of the sort of hidden heroes for the Unicorns of Love, because like at the start of this, he was making some really cool outplays. He has been one of the key things keeping Unicorns of Love alive in this game so far. And now that we're approaching the late game, he is the man to carry. And I feel like based on what we've seen from him so far, he could very well do it.
Oh, but it's so difficult. It requires the team, the setup to really set him up for success. The Twitch on the back line for H2K. He needs a little help if people get on top of him, but it's so difficult to approach that Twitch. So much range, and I feel like Samux, Unicorns of Love, they're in a position where they have to ask so much of this guy, and the question is, can he deliver? Because it's pretty much all on the Xayah in these fights. The Viktor as well can help out. The Gangplank slowly scaling. Maybe there will be other options soon, but for now he is the only member with any sort of advantage over his counterpart.
Now, things have slowed down a fair amount, and that's because H2K are just trying to keep pressure on all the side lanes, but they know going up against a Viktor and a Xayah, that's a lot of wave clear that they can't really contest unless they want to try and go for a dive, which is super risky this late into the game. So instead, they're just securing vision control over the top half and bottom half, or rather, yeah, main focus is on the top half of the Unicorn's jungle so they can make the play towards the next Baron. That's where they'll try and force another fight or get themselves a pick where they can transition into that objective and then use that to end the game.
In Vegas, we are now 2 minutes away from that point. But it feels like we've never gotten an even team fight in this game. There's been some skirmishes, some back and forth that have favored Unicorns of Love or H2K, but every one of these massive engagements that we've seen so far, these full-on 5-on-5s have in the end been favorable for H2K. And on the one hand, you have to praise them for keeping up with the team fighting prowess of the Unicorns of Love, but also just for snowballing a significant enough advantage that they didn't need to fight Unicorns on even gold. They didn't need to take that risk.
Yep. And I also think just all of the setup from H2K has been very good as well. We saw early on their proactivity with the Shen ultimate. Like, whenever that ulti was available, Odo was using it. Like, Febiven, who was playing so far up into the lane, just getting into Exileh's face because he knew he had that support. And this is great growth that we are seeing from H2K. It's fantastic to see them constantly trying to make things happen all over the map, because that's what you need to do if you want to be a top team in Europe.
Can't afford to play too slow. We look at the teams at the top of the standings. G2, sometimes a slow game, sometimes a quick game, but you look at Fnatic, you look at Unicorns of Love. These guys play quick. They play high tempo. You're not going to get a chance to sit back and farm up in the early game. But now that things have gotten to the point where one team has a significant advantage, 8K in the favor of H2K. Unicorns of Love have to respect it. They have to back off. They have to be the team to play slow and just farm up and wait. And it's just such an odd position to see the UOL in.
They are 8,000 gold down, but as the game progresses, that will mean less and less. At this point, it means quite a lot. Oh, they have found Samux.
Twitch knocked back. Zach trying to keep the fight going. Good CC does go down. Hylissang knocked out of the fight, but he's still alive. Battle and shield keeping him healthy, but it's not going to save Samux. Quickness is used, trying to disengage, trying to get those tanks off of his back line. Febiven, though, still uncontested as he pushes in with the calling. H2K take out one in the fight and are just dominating UOL.
And it's the perfect time to get that pick as well, because the Baron has just spawned. Regeneration is rampant on the side of H2K, and with that objective, it is exactly what they need to break into the base of the Unicorns and look to take this first game.
Double 80 carries make it pretty easy to burn down this Baron. Rakan poking his head in, looking for a little bit of vision, but he's not going to get sight of it. Only the notification that pops up on his screen letting him know that that Baron has been secured.
This is just very unfortunate for Samux. He was not expecting the submarine. Even though it's happened multiple times throughout this game, this is the proactivity that we were talking about from H2K. They weren't resting on their laurels. They weren't waiting around. They knew when Baron was respawning. They knew they had to make something happen. They saw Samux, the one carry that could turn it around for UOL, slightly out of position, and they immediately go for the jugular. Great play from H2K. Now they're looking to try and end it.
And you have to wonder, Samux, he has all this aggressive itemization, but maybe needing a QSS at this point in the game. And you can see on the opposite side, H2K, despite their leads, building these items, giving that respect over to the opposite side, not wanting to risk getting locked out in these fights. And right now, UOL are just getting choked out here in this game one. Has to feel good when you're H2K. 1-4 in the spring season was the record in games for the side of H2K, only finding one win. And this is a good look for the team overall. Dominating performances in the solo lanes. Bot lane, yes, suffers, but is now coming back big, Vedius.
And UOL backs against the wall. Baron buff, minions hitting onto the towers. There's still a lot of wave throw on the side of Unicorns, but now H2K feel confident to go.
Nice body slam comes in, but not going to be enough. H2K continue to dish out damage on the tower. Taunt going to go wide. Exileh, nice footwork to move out of this. The fight continuing to move forward. There's the Chaos Storm going down, but the Gargoyle Stone Plate makes it so hard to kill the Shen. Febiven on the backside. GP ult going to be used. Xerxe pulled back into the fight. Featherstorm maybe go look for the disengage. Not going to find the snare. Febiven is going to get knocked up. Exileh leaps forward, but it's right into the hands of Zach. Let's bounce back into the back line, and down he goes. That's the double kill for Febiven. Add the inhibitor for Zach. And H2K, just no hesitation in these fights. Fearless frontline action from Febiven on this Lucian. 80 carries in 2017. Let's make it a meme. All too easy. Jankos now running forward. Vizicsacsi doing his best to run it out, but Febiven is definitely the strongest 80 carry in this game. Oh no, it's absolute destruction here. H2K taking their time with it, trying to burn it down, looking for one more kill. Vizicsacsi versus Febiven. Can he get it? The heal up, not gonna find it in the end. It's just gonna be the Nexus Towers. It's just gonna be H2K with an incredibly dominant performance in that laning phase. Finally finding a purchase here in game 1 to take down the Unicorns of Love. Febiven still not going to get taken out, does finally get shut down. That's it, folks. Game 1 in favor of H2K.
Very impressive game from H2K. Again, expectations were, will H2K really be able to bring it to the Unicorns of Love? So many times they have faltered. Like, they were able to get one kill, or one game rather, this year against UOL, and since then, they have not been able to defeat them. But now, coming into game 1, they're looking poised, they're looking ready. They're understanding of how to play the map, their draft, their coordination. Everything looks fantastic for this H2K squad.
And Unicorns of Love just could not find engages on their terms, could not fight the laning phase on even footing. A few moments where they're too eager to find outplays, where they're not giving the respect over to their opponents. The kill pressure from the Lucian, from the Shen, coming in on the top side for Odoamne. But just an immaculate performance coming in from Odoamne. Amazing early game coming in from Jankos. And we talked about Unicorns of Love being that team fighting team. Well, H2K were the team that relied on Jankos to get early leads, and they're the ones who showed it here. Well, H2K strike first against their rivals. Let's check in with our analysts for a bit more on that matchup.
Yes, they did indeed. H2K striking first and taking down Unicorns of Love. One game on the board. We want to start by picks and bans because it was obvious that there was a Xayah, there was a Rakan, there was a Xayah, a lot of OP picks being left through. But Sven, you said, well, there's actually just a smarter plan out of the entire composition of H2K denying Exileh.
Yeah, I think that even though they had like the Xayah Rakan trade for Zac, on the team of H2K they have Zac and Shen and Lucian. And against Lucian, you just pick mid, right? And then they pick a mage, they play mage against Zac. Mage against Zac are not good because you're immobile and you get ganked very easily. As you saw, he died to every gank and lost mid tower early, which is bad. If you can something else like a Set, LeBlanc was banned, but assassins in general are not good against Shen because of Shen ult on side lane, or Shen is good against assassins 1v1 as well. So not really sure what Exileh could pick in this game to have much impact. Also playing against Twitch, it's not very easy either for mages, so he has a hard time picking anything useful in this game without dying to Zac ganks or dying on side lane or just being useless on like Set, LeBlanc, Katarina, whatever he finds.
Yeah.
And we wanted to look at some of the, early game instances where this actually undoes the Unicorn, specifically looking at the Zac into the mid lane for one of the first kills where, as you talked about, it's difficult with a more immobile mage where you go out, try and get out of lane, and suddenly Zac comes out of nowhere. This time Exileh's no flash, and this happens top lane as well. Is there really much you can do other than just at all times think Zac could be ganking?
I mean, the first thing is that he's playing a mage against Zac, which is not easy. Second thing is that they're trying to have a 2v2 fight mid with Gragas Viktor against Zac Lucian, which is not very easy. And then on top of that, Zac and Lucian has Shen ult available. They have GP ult to response, but Shen is much better than GP ult because the shield is same as damage, and he's going to be there in person, right? Also, Chei was moving first in this situation, so fighting mid 2v2 is not an option at this point. And more kills happened, and mid tower falls for Viktor, which is really, really bad because mages can't move from their lanes in general. So if mid tower falls, you have even less space to be useful on. And then the map kind of collapsed once Vizicsacsi died to a gank from Zac as well, right after that. And then the split push is much easier for H2K because of Lucian winning against GP already. We have seen the top Lucian before against GP, and he wins with Shen ult even more against anyone. So he has silent priority. Twitch, even though he died in the lane 2v2 to Xayah and Rakan, he's still much stronger than Xayah and Rakan once he gets the Hurricane, the Blade of Ring. We saw the team fight at 30 minutes or so, killed everyone. So.
Yeah, as you said, the only place where there could be an opening is the bottom lane because we wanted to kind of look at the dynamic of Xayah and Rakan. We have a couple of replays where they do get a kill 2v2 and then they try to get ganked, but that doesn't work. What happens here, Sven?
Well, Nuclear has no heal and Chei has no exhaust. The bottom lane of Unicorn, has everything available to them. They get a kill. And here we see H2K forcing a trade on, a gank on Unicorn's bot lane, but forcing ganks on Xayah and Rakan is not very easy. Rakan's dash is 1000 range, they have the TP, they have the GP ult, they have both flashes up, Xayah has her ultimate. it's kind of like ganking a Twitch Kalista lane. They both have like the bail out each other's spells. So I think forcing the bot lane for HK is really bad. But what Unicorn should have done is try to have like Exileh stay safe in the mid lane and Vizicsacsi just farming up top lane. And then at level 6, Gragas has its ultimate. You can try to make plays on bot lane with Rakan's ultimate into the root, into Gragas cask. The GP ult is there. And Viktor just has to farm. And if you die in your top lane and mid lane before level 6, it's really bad. Because that enables the Lucian Shen to split push. So I think Unicorn did the right thing here, that they're focusing on bot lane to make plays, but their mid lane and top laner just had too many mistakes that you can't have.
Right, and that's what we wanted to talk about, was this is perhaps one of the worst games in recent memory for the Unicorns from Vizicsacsi and Exileh's standpoint, like constantly getting baited forward into 2 versus 1 situations. Like, I don't think we've really seen them do that in quite a long time. And what it meant was that normally they're great at coming back in team fights, even from behind. We saw them attempt that with a couple of fights. But when you're like 1-6 on a Viktor, when your GP is getting out-traded on every barrel by a Shen,
that's actually
it's impossible.
That's crazier to me because, as you say, the Viktor was kind of negated all power through the draft. But Chachi definitely didn't have a good game versus that Shen, which is not something we usually see from him.
Yeah, I mean, he had that solo kill against Odoamne, which wasn't really a solo kill. Like, Febiven was roaming up top lane behind him, so he had no choice to give a kill to Lucian or give a kill to Shen. So he gave one to Shen. And that's kind of what happened because of the mid lane thing, where Exileh was dying all the time. So Febiven had roam like priority. He could push the mid lane wave and then move topside. He got a kill there, and then the Shen was rolling as well. And then even though there was this one solo kill in the bot lane for Unicorns with the 2v2 kill, it didn't matter enough because the Unicorns mid laner and top laner were losing harder than the bot lane of the H2K. So.
Yeah, probably seems to have done just an amazing job with the draft. It seems like.
They traded power picks, but you can say that one power pick did more than the other power picks, but I don't think so. It's more like Unicorns, Exileh, and Vizicsacsi just died more than the bot lane of H2K, right? So that's just how easy it is. I think Viktor is very hard to play against Zac, and anything else would have been hard too because you're playing Fizz or LeBlanc against Shen. It's not good either. So
sounds bad for game 2 too.
It sounds like you don't really have any good picks against Shen, Lucian, Zac without either dying to ganks or being useless on side lane or.
So which one do you ban?
Well, you have to reconsider Zac maybe.
Yeah. I think Jankos' Zac, the stretching strike, he's probably the best we've seen out of EU junglers here. I think you also maybe don't necessarily all in on Xayah or Rakan. If you can ban one out and then neutralize it a little bit. We've seen Hylissang and Samux doing very well on a lot of picks, the Varus, the Caitlyn. So maybe you don't necessarily in a second
I think that the trade is fine, but they have a problem with that last pick mid here because there's not many good picks against Lucian in the lane already, and then you're playing against Lucian as well, so you can't play assassins, and you can't really play mages against Zac either, so you have a bit of a problem here, right? And they banned Kennen, Syndra, and Rumble as opposed to the usual like Zac, Xayah, or Rakan. So I think Unicorn should maybe change sides if they have selection, and otherwise you should consider banning maybe just both because it didn't look that good for Exileh to play against Zac, Zac Shen losing this game. So
no, it looked painful. It looked
but
painful.
however, Xayah and Rakan looked very good. Samux and Hylissang were up, I think, 30 CS something in this lane. They got 2v2 killed, had pressure all the time. I think Hylissang had a lot of like map pressure. He was clearing wards in their faces, using the 1000 dash on Xayah to get out. So he was being like on the map all the time doing stuff. He had the mid-lane roam that helped Exileh a lot. So yeah, I think the Xayah Rakan was worth it for them, but it seemed like Zac was worth more.
So we'll see what they decide to go for in game 2. There is a lot on the line for the Unicorns of Love as they are on the verge of losing the series. We will be right back and see what they can do.